Hello again my dudes, this is Kadima back with another build video for Elden Ring, this time using the DLC weapons, the Greatsword of Solitude. And that's right, we are using not one, but two of these bad boys, because I'm lucky enough to have a friend who dropped me an extra one for the purposes of this build video. Now, this weapon can be acquired quite early in the DLC. As soon as you arrive, which you do around this area here, this is where you get into the DLC. If you just go to the Western Nameless Mausoleum, this is where you will find the boss that wields this weapon and the corresponding armor. I was thinking about wearing the armor as well, but again, I like the extra damage that you get from the armor set that I constantly use on all my build videos, so that's what I run with. Let's just take a look at the equipment. As I said, I'm dual wielding Great Swords of Solitude at plus 10. For the armor, the usual Rakshasa helm, armor chest piece, gauntlets, and greaves. For the talismans, the Great Jar's arsenal. This could be replaced if you swapped some points from mind into endurance. So you could actually use the talisman of the herd tree instead. You might be able to not be a heavy load. It wasn't working for me because I had already swapped the build. So I went with what the arsenal to make up for it. The Bull Goat's talisman for the extra poise. The Verdigris discus for raised defense with higher equip load, and our equip load is medium. It's not heavy. If you are heavy, this will boost your defense even further, but I don't like to fat roll. And the Dragon Crest Great Shield talisman, which gives us a tremendous amount of defenses. As you can see, we are with 35,000 physical defense in total, divided with strike, slash, and pierce. The magical, fire, lightning, and holy are not so great because this thing actually only boosts the physical defenses, but not the magical ones, which is a shame. In any case, one thing I want to note is originally I was intending to two-hand one of these bad boys whilst using a shield on this hand, but playing PvE I don't really use shields that much unless I'm going into a boss fight that has quite a lot of attacks and it's best to tank their damage with some shield. In the arena, I find that every time I one-handed the sword and had my shield out, people would just not engage much, probably because they thought I was going to go for a parry, which I potentially would because my shield had parry ability, but I just didn't find it worthy, and I just want for the extra damage with dual wielding these bad boys, and also because it looks badass when you hold these guys in your hands, as you can tell in the footage. Now, quick look to the build itself. I'm level 151 as per usual. I recommend 60 in vigor, mind 16, but as I said, you can cut this down a little and compensate in endurance, so you can swap that talisman. Strength at 80 because these bad boys scale A with strength. Dexterity at 14, although the requirement for the weapon is actually only 13. Now, this is basically the build. Let's take a look at the moveset. When you have it just one-handed, the R1s are side-to-side swings, and the R2s are smashes with a swing follow-up. If you two-hand the weapon, the swings become vertical swings instead of horizontal swings, and the R2 becomes an horizontal one. So it's quite a move set. It allows variety between one-handed and two-handed. When you have these bad boys dual wielding, it's just horizontal slashes cutting through enemies. The jumping attack with the dual wield, it's obviously a smash. The one-handed is a slash. This is a smash. When you two-handed the jumping attack, again it's a slash, and this is a smash. So that's basically the build and the weapons that I'm using for this one in a nutshell. Nothing better than showing you a few examples of how hard these guys hit with the obvious suspects from the DLC. We got the Black Knight as usual and the Bloodfeed Chief, and I'll give you some examples of how it performed in the arena. I will throw a mix with using the shield as well with the original build before I change it to its final version. Maybe you guys enjoy it more a little bit that way, and it's good for you to see the difference. But no more delay, let's jump into it. One thing I forgot to mention is about the Flask of Wondrous Physique. This is what I recommend. Consecutive attacks grow stronger and increased stance breaker. Now, I am at the Black Knight. As you can see, my Mimic is already with me. I'm gonna perfume both of us to boost our damage negation and our physical damage done. Of course, I'm gonna go with the Physique as well. I just want to get a little closer before I use it. He actually manages to tongue me towards him. I dodged this very poorly, and he actually managed to use the tongue. But then I just go with the jumping L1, and then I actually use the weapon art just for the satisfaction of it. As you saw, it immediately broke his stance, but there was no need to land the critical. It was just an absolute destruction, both me and the Mimic just going for him. The amount of stun this thing does, especially with the Mimic, is just crazy. For this one, I decided not to use the Mimic, but I wanted to use the Rock Pot, and as you can see, that thing alone did 2,500 damage, which is quite crazy. It's a shame they take so long to actually get the throw. I wish they were a bit faster. This guy actually nearly got me with that bleeding damage. I managed to escape, but then I rolled quite poorly. As you can see, he's already halfway down in his health, and I barely did any damage. But then I started landing some L1s, and his HP just absolutely disappears. Each L1 swing does more than 6,000 damage. These things are just crazy. Now let's go into the arena. I actually ended up fighting this guy a couple of times. In this first duel, he actually managed to parry me. As you can see, he's got his shield, and he's playing extremely passively because he actually wants to land the parry, which is fair enough. I have nothing against people that want to land parries. It's how passive they play that makes it just a bit boring. So I decided to just jump around, mess with him, try to land a few hits here and there. Ultimately, he does manage to parry me, which was, I gotta say, I saw it coming and I did nothing to avoid it. I could have just delayed my swing and I would have avoided it. But fair enough, it's nice to show that I don't always win. But it was then round 2, and it was my turn to try to win this time. So I went a little bit more careful. I didn't want to get parried a second time, so I just did a few jumps. I didn't want him to see that I was going to go for the obvious jumping attack. But a jumping attack did 922 damage. That's absolutely crazy that jumping out L1 does that much damage in the arena. He's trying to just poke me to punish my jumps. I know he's going to try to parry, so I went for it. I think, okay, this is when he's going to go for it. I actually missed. He tried to then parry the atmosphere, which didn't go so well. The atmosphere avoided that parry brilliantly. And then I thought, okay, why don't I just try to get a backstab, because this guy is obviously wanting the parry really bad. He could have killed me by now, but he really wants to get the parry going. So I thought, why not? Let's try to get the backstab going. So I'm just jumping around hoping that he parries me, which he didn't. But then I decided to go on the offensive. He's being offensive as well. He suddenly swapped for the shield, and that's when I got the backstab at last. And then I finished the job with a jar. I love these jars, man. I had to teabag this guy because honestly, that shield spamming parry is just annoying. Now, let's go to another duel. This guy actually defeated me right before this. He was just spamming the weapon, but look at that jar damage, 1,100, and then the weapon art with the cast for the finish. 2-hit win, the jar and the Ashes of War. Now for this one, it was actually a beautiful fight. This guy is using a meganormous great sword with the holy damage. Unfortunately for me, I always get roll catch on that one because I don't see straight away that the weapon is going to do that, and I end up messing up the whole thing. Again, he's playing reactively more than anything. I'm trying to get the spacing right, but I'm not doing so well because that weapon, I don't frequently see people using this weapon, so my spacing is actually being terrible. I tried the running L1, but it didn't go so well. The jumping L1 also didn't go so well, and then he changed to the claws to try to get the bleed to proc, which is fine. But if you go with the claws, you no longer have the hyper armor you were getting from the gigantic sword, and in that case I'm going to take a little bit more of a risk to try to punish you. And this is what I'm about to do. There's the L1. It did a minute amount of damage because he had the boosted defense there. He's got quite a lot of armor, so you can see both swords don't even hit that hard. But I tried to punish a little bit more, and then I went for the finish with the L1 close quarters swing. Now for the next example, fighting this guy, I don't really know what his original plan was, because he was just standing there. I did not attack straight away. I gave him a chance to start the duel. He eventually did. And there we go. We are on the offensive. I then realized this was probably another guy who was going to spam parries, which is fine. He actually missed the time for that one, which is great. Worked in my favor. But that tells me that it's a bad idea to try to attack this guy face to face. So I just went with the weapon art. I dodge rolled his weapon art. I waited to try to bait him into a second one, and this is when I was hoping he would go for it. He didn't, so I went with the roll catch attempt, and it worked beautifully. Now for this one, this is a funny fight because this guy was also using a great sword and in a faith build. I find easy to dodge these lightning spears, but I was trying to get him to be punished. I wanted to L1 swing him really hard, and there you go. Half his HP is gone with just one swing. I then couldn't manage to get the second swing going. The jumping attack also missed, but when I finally hit, which is going to be now, you'll see the amount of damage this thing does. 1, and then 2, and then that was a beautiful kill. Reverse roll for the R1. This guy, we actually fought a couple of times. He won one, I won the second one, but the first one took so long that the timer actually showed in the arena. So I'm only going to post this one round. He was actually fat rolling at the start. He had to swap something. He then tried to go with a katana. I'm pretty sure he actually wanted to play with the shield. Unfortunately, my rolling there was absolutely atrocious. I was ashamed of myself for rolling that so poorly. As you can also see, I'm using the shield here. This was the original version of the build with the sword and the shield, but then he swapped to the shield, the duelist shield, which I gotta be honest, this shield annoys the crap out of me. I'm going to make a build with that at some point, but I didn't want to do it straight away. The weapon art actually did quite a lot of damage. He missed his flower blooms twice. I tried to finish with the roll catch, but unfortunately it didn't go so well. I was thinking maybe I can trade, and if I trade I'll do the damage I need, and that was the case. I got the win with the running R2. Two-handed. Now another fight here, fighting a guy using a curved sword. This reminds me of the time of Dark Souls 3 and the Pontiff, where everybody, dramatic, I'm looking at you, was using the curved sword, and it was just the meta, everybody using the curved sword, and this is what it reminds me of. Good memories, I'm not gonna lie, but it's just, it's out of fashion these days, I would say. I wasn't able to land anything straight away, so I tried to get play for the bait, trying to get some traits. I finally managed to punish him here. As you see in this move, I'm actually going to hit him, and then he came for the dub for the running R1, and I managed to punish him, and then I'll finish him off with a trade here with the rolling with the follow-up of the Ashes of War. Now this is going to be a very quick duel. I don't know, it just went quite well because this guy was using the feet weapons, but I managed to roll catch him straight away, and I actually finished him with the jar. What a nice win. I love the jar victory. This is going to be the last one, guys. A quick one as well. I'll let you watch it. Thank you so much for watching my build videos. I do appreciate your support. Please subscribe if you haven't done just yet. Leave a like or any comments down below. And of course, I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio!